Hi.
Hi.
Ooh.
Good evening, and welcome to
Generational
Generational Gab.
gap. Yay.
We are back. And we're excited about being here tonight. It seems like it's been a while.
It has. It's been almost like a month, I
A
think.
month? Yeah. We got
Yeah.
busy, dates got messed up and
Right.
But
But we're here. We're here
but
now.
we're here and we're happy about it. And
Mhm.
the subject tonight is a little
Dark.
dark, but Crystal said it's all up to me, but it doesn't have to be.
No, because I feel like once we talked about it, and I feel like okay, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it opens up the conversation more. So.
Right.
So how are you?
I
I
need some more.
just I just drank some water.
Oh, from singing yesterday. I was so proud. My daughter was one of the headlines at the Tulip Festival yesterday, on stage, singing her heart out, singing duets and just performing. I was so proud of her.
Thank you, Mom. It's so funny when I saw you. So Mom decided to sit right in front.
I had to.
And it reminds
in the sun. The sun was burning me too.
And it's just funny though, because it reminds me of when I used to do the school plays. And I used to look out and you would be right there singing the song. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, I had to be there. I got, because a lot of people were already there, but I made my way up
she
front.
moved in front of you. The man was looking at you like.
Up front. I had to be up front where she can see me. So
thank you, Mom.
Anyway,
we're gonna try to push through. So if you hear my voice cracking, it's just I need a little vocal rest. But but how are you?
I am good. I'm really good. I had a good Mother's Day with my children. Well, two of them weren't here, but it was a nice day for me. First church, of course, and then going to the Tulip Festival, and then going to a new restaurant that I'd never been to before. It was really good. So
remind me that I want to ask you about how Mother's Day felt for you yesterday, based upon what this is about today. Because I feel like some days are like some, of course days are hard for you, but then when it comes to Mother's Day, you have some years are harder than some. So when we go through this, remind me to ask you about that. So
all right.
So today's topic is trusting God in times of sorrow. The scripture comes from Psalms 34:18 NIV. It says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and save those who are crushed in spirit." Do you want?
Okay. Sorrow is a heavy burden to bear, but God is near to those who are brokenhearted. He offers comfort and healing to those who are grieving, reminding you that you are never alone in your pain. Trusting God in times of sorrow means believing that He is with you, that He sees your tears, and that He cares deeply about your suffering. His presence is a source of strength, and His love is a balm for your wounded heart.
In your sorrow, God invites you to lean on Him, to pour out your heart in prayer, and to trust that He is working even in the midst of your pain. Though the road may be difficult, God promises to walk with you every step of the way, bringing hope and healing in His time. As you trust in His goodness, you'll find that He can turn your mourning into joy and your sorrow into peace. So when we first was talking about this, I was telling Mom, I was like, well, I need you, to take the lead on this because, I'm in my mind, the first thing I think of when it comes to sorrow is associated with death. So it's kind of like, yes, I've lost people in my life close to me, like grandma, grandpa, Aunt Linda, but I was still young and developed, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, as an adult, it's hard for me to, I didn't think that I really dealt with thank God, dealt with a lot of sorrow in that aspect. But then you told me the definition of sorrow, and then it was just like, oh, okay.
Right.
So what's the definition?
The definition of sorrow is a noun, and it says a feeling of deep distress caused by loss, disappointment, or other misfortunes suffered by oneself or others. So we don't really have to just talk about death.
Yeah.
Disappointment or sorrow can come in a whole lot of other ways. You know, I was telling Crystal that about a month ago, I think, maybe a month ago, I went out to a late dinner with some friends. Well, they weren't really my friends, but my sister's friends. So she invited me to go along. It was after the concert for our pastor. And one of the ladies, she was talking about how she had left the church that she was at, and the church, she had been there for over a couple of decades. She had been at that church for so long, and then something happened. You know how sometimes church issues, stuff gets messy, and you know, it just something that really hurt her bad. So that Sunday she got up and she just left out of the church, and she never went back. And she's joined another church since then. But she talked about how she cried, or how she mourned it all that week, because she had been at that church for so long. So she was, and I told her, I said, that's grieving. You're grieving, you know, that's a death, you know. So grieving or sorrow comes in a lot of different ways, you know.
Yeah. It could show up in a whole bunch of different
bunch of different ways, you know.
Yeah, like now putting it in perspective, it's a thing where like I think about the relationships that didn't go the way that I wanted, and I had to grieve those relationships.
Right.
Or opportunities that I thought were mine or that I really wanted, and they didn't come to pass, and things like that. So I had to like grieve or have sorrow for those things.
Right.
And even if it's like, you know, you, of course, with like people, but it's also a thing where like sometimes I think I'm not where I'm supposed to be at like my age and things like that. And I have to, when I was younger, I thought that I would have this certain life at 33, and that's not it. And I was like, that's a grieving or process of sorrow that I've had to go through. So I appreciate you finding the definition, because it broadened my thought on what this actually is, which then broadened my idea of where God is in my life and what situations he's actually helped me, not actually helped me through, but situations that had made me grow closer to him, because I had to learn that he was with me through this grieving process or this sorrow process.
Because like it talks about, where's it at? As you trust, and that's the word, trusting God, no matter what the situation is, just trusting him, having total reliance upon spiritual timing, his spiritual timing. You know, trusting God no matter what it is. We get disappointed about a lot. I mean, life sometimes is a disappointment, you know, because if you think like, I think I was talking to Antoine the other day, and there were some things in my life that have been a really big disappointment to me, that if I could turn the hands of time around, you know, things would be different.
Right.
You know, so that's sorrow when you know that you can't go back and you can't change things, you can't fix things. So you have to just really trust God and believe in the time and space that you're in, that he's going to do.
Right. And that's also the thing about the trust part. A lot of times now, when I don't get the things that I say, like the things that I want or things that I'm, you know, working towards and stuff like that, although it's disappointment, because it says whereas the road may be difficult,
Mm-hmm.
and God promises to walk with you every step of the way, bringing you hope and healing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I have put in my mind constantly where
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times when we don't get the things that we want, we're being protected from something.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a thing where also we have to trust that God has a bigger plan.
Right.
He has the bigger picture of whatever the situation is. You know what I'm saying? Like, regardless of the situation, it could be the loss of a person, place, or thing. But all these things, right, are still in God's hands.
Right.
It's still going to be on his timing.
Mm-hmm.
We may not understand it,
Mm-hmm.
but God has the bigger picture.
Right.
And although it's not easy to understand, it gives you some type of peace and solitude to know that there is someone,
Mm-hmm.
the author of tomorrow has it figured out for you,
Yeah.
and it's a thing where we have to get out of our own way, because of course everything takes time to grieve and to have sorrow, and you should
Right.
mourn. It's healthy to mourn.
Right.
It's healthy to be disappointed. It's healthy to grieve
Mm-hmm.
a loss, regardless what the loss is.
Right.
It's healthy to do that. And if you don't,
Mm-hmm.
then I always say you need to go to therapy regardless. But if you don't mourn any kind of loss, the biggest to the smallest,
it can stress you out, because you're always thinking about that, and you're not able to move away from that. It's like you're stuck in this box because you're not able to move forward in whatever it is, whatever the loss is, whatever it is, you're not able to move forward because you're now stuck in whatever that thing is.
So now going back to yesterday was Mother's Day. Was there a process that you've had to learn to, because you and Grandma were very close? Can you just say like a little bit of the process from like grieving Grandma like on Mother's Day to like where you are now? Like, like, even if you don't feel like I can only imagine, but I feel like you do a great job to at least show that you're enjoying time with like us on Mother's Day. Like what does that look like for you?
Well, when she passed away in 1995, and it was March 21st, 1995. So Mother's Day was
right
coming up,
corner.
really close. And at that time, I was so depressed, and it was just a hard thing for me. And this pastor told me, you have to let your children celebrate you for Mother's Day, and after that, it kind of helped me. But every year, it just gets easier and easier. Like this year, I posted a picture of her, and said how I miss her and whatever, but I was good. I really didn't, because I had the time. Well, I was going to church. I went to church. My mind was busy.
Gotcha.
I went to church. After that, went to the Tulip Festival to see you. After that, went to dinner, and then come home. And I didn't have time to really sit and think about Delilah Melrose Odom. So I didn't have that time to think about her. But every year it gets easier. But even in that, though, because sometimes one year may be different than the other. So it's not, you can say every year gets easier, but one year may be different from the other. You may be in that frame of mind where, you're just thinking too much, and, so every year is different. Even though it was 1995, still, that's my mother. So it's every year is different. This year was good, so, and I think it's because of you, you know, my children, you know, so.
It's a hard thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think that it does, when we talk about like people, I know you can't really say it for everyone, but I'm blessed to know that the people that have gone on, I know that they're with God.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I know they suffered on this earth. And it gives me some sort of peace to know, like, of course I miss their earthly body here.
Yeah.
But it does give peace to know that, like, they're literally with, they're in the goal, they're at the goal. Do you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, the goal is to be with Jesus, you know, to be with God. So yeah.
So I mean, it's good. But I just, like I said, I didn't want us to just
talk about death. Absolutely not.
Right.
But I just know that people like me,
Right.
the first thing they're going to think about when we're talking about in sorrow, we're going to talk about, you know what I'm saying? I think that's the most tangible thing for people to do. Because, of course, we can talk about missed opportunities, but we miss opportunities every day. Every day. You know, so it's, you know, and I don't think people think about grieving and sorrow of like plans and tasks and goals and stuff falling through. And you have to remember that it's all right to grieve. Yeah. It is all right to grieve, and don't let anybody tell you how long you must grieve. Yeah. Like I said, it's 1995 for me. You know. Yeah. It does. It's people say, well, it's going to take time. They say all of these, but they can't quantify the time. No, they'll just be like, it takes time. Okay, do days, years, decades? How many? Yeah, yeah. You know, so don't let anybody try to tell you that you need to be over grieving or whatever. And that's okay. So, and that's also a thing. And when we're talking about grieving, everybody is completely different. Right. And like I said, it is okay to grieve every kind of loss. Right. Every kind of loss is okay. Just like you know, people in relationships go through breakups and you still I said, yes, I'm still upset about that. I invested X, Y, and Z into this. Right. And it's hard for me I can't just move on. You know what I'm saying? So it's just I hope people do know that it is okay to grieve every single kind of loss. But my also thing is that don't take your grief on other people. Right. Because you know how people do that. You know, some people are just have like this nasty spirit because they're hurt off of whatever loss they have. Right. And that's like, not fair. Even like when you think about relationships, you know, then if that one guy or whatever hurt you, and that one girl hurt you, then you're saying, well, I'm not gonna bother with any of the, you know, it's like you stunt your own growth because you don't want to move forward because you think it's always gonna be that way. And I do think, like, of course, I can't find the like the correlation between like a loss of a person, but when we talk about loss of like your goals, certain ambitions and stuff like that, or things that you wanted to do or whatever, obtain, didn't get it, fall through. I do think that those things in that grieving process are also learning opportunities. Right. So when we talk about relationships and something doesn't work out with a person, it's really good to, yes, grieve that relationship, but also learn from that. Right. So that you can move forward. Because I think a lot of people sit in the grief of whatever that loss is, and they sit in that. But like even with people who have passed away, people find themselves, they don't want to get close to other people because everyone dies afraid. And all this. You know what I'm saying? It's just a thing where like I think working through grief and working through sorrow is like there are learning opportunities there in order to move forward. You know, because even like going back to relationship, then you know what you don't want. Right. You know what you do want. You know who you don't want. You don't want. You know, and you can, if there is a person, then you see Yeah.
If you're going out or whatever and you see that one little thing,
I gotta go.
yeah, it's time for me to go.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Right. Absolutely.
No, so,
Absolutely.
yeah.
As difficult as it is, you know,
Mhm.
a lot of times when you look back on things, you know, like I said, God has the bigger picture. So there are things that I was just like, oh my goodness, I wish that I thought this was going to be for me and it wasn't. But
Yeah.
I know that what I have now is
Mhm.
completely, is
That's
so
right.
much more and better
Yeah.
than what I was grieving from before, you know?
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I was I can't think of, there's this, I don't know if he's a comedian, a Christian comedian or what. Willie, you heard him, Willie?
Mm-mm. I'm surprised you watched it.
No, there was he was on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that you watch anything funny.
Oh, well, no, he wasn't really being funny or anything.
Oh.
He just said that his mother had called him and asked him to come to the house because he's a big person.
Okay.
You know. His mother asked him to come to the house and she wanted him to reframe all of the pictures in the house.
Okay.
So he said it just brought to mind about life, how we need to reframe things. You know, like you say, oh, I got fired from the job.
Right.
Reframe it and say, God removed me from the job.
That's,
you know,
it's so funny though, because I was talking to my therapist about this last week, where it's like you have to really, for me, I don't want to be a negative person. So I have to tell myself like the glass is half full, not half empty. And it's a thing that you have to intentionally, you know, reframe
the way that you say
like this
things,
might be,
or
and you can completely acknowledge like this is a disappointing moment, this is a sad spot, whatever.
Right.
But you can reframe it and be like, well, I was blessed to be here for the moment, and now it's time for me to take whatever I got here to go here, you know.
Right.
As it's hard, and you're also going to still always be disappointed,
right,
but what are you going to do with that?
Right. What will you do with the disappointment? What will you do with the sorrow?
Yeah.
You know, so this is good.
Yeah. So action step: bring your sorrow to God in prayer today. Trust in his presence and allow him to comfort your broken heart.
Yeah.
The reflection question is, how can trusting in God's presence help you find peace and healing in times of sorrow?
In trusting in God's presence to help you, because like I said, trust, the acronym, total reliance upon his spiritual timing, total reliance upon spiritual timing. When you if you trust God and give everything to him and just let it go, you can have that peace. You can have that peace that it's talking about. Peace and healing in times of sorrow, in times of disappointment. You can have that peace when you stop holding on to it and let go of it, put it in God's hands, you know, and just let him have it. Yeah. Let him have that pain, whatever you're feeling, let him have it. Pray and ask God just to take it away from you. You know, don't walk in it. Don't let it get you down and depressed. You have to give it all to God and let him handle it. Yeah. You know, so that's how you can have that peace. That peace, like it says, that peace that surpasses all understanding. You won't even be able to understand why you have such peace when you give it to God. Yeah. That's it.
It's always good to know that there's someone taking care of it for you. And I think that's where the peace comes from, where you're like, I can't do anything about this. Right? It's all in the works by God. Right. So all I have to do is process what I'm going to do moment by moment, and what can I do? Like, what's that saying? Like basically like, don't stress over the things that you cannot control. Right. And when it comes to grief and sorrow, you can't control that. Right. Like, these things are outside of you. You don't have control over your emotions, and
Right.
and a lot of these things you don't have control over because
You don't.
they're done, like it's not done to you, but you know what I'm saying, like there's
Mhm.
outside factors that will create this grief and the sorrow. So why stress about something that you can't change it?
Mm-mm.
So I guess for me, it gives me peace to know that, like I said, the author of tomorrow, he already knows. So all I have to do is do what I'm doing,
Right.
and it's already written, you know.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Just let God handle it. Let it go, because you won't have that peace that you need to have in order to live.
yeah.
So.
And it's so the further Bible reading is he heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. And that's from Psalms 147:3, NIV version. And when I reading that, I think it's also important to say that when you give control, and you let go of these things and let God take care of that, he's going to heal you, right? But you don't want to, you have to learn from whatever that loss and situation was, because then you're just going to keep picking at your wounds.
Right.
And you're not going to have peace. You're not
Right.
going to be healed. You're not going to be able to move forward.
It's
So
just like having a scab.
Right. You're literally picking
at it, and it'll never
heal.
No.
And that's when you don't let things heal, and you don't heal, that's when you start having a negative energy towards people. You're not moving forward. You're going to find yourself stuck in certain situations. It's going to be like a cycle.
That thing can get infected.
And it gets worse
into your body, into your mind, your soul, your spirit, everything.
And then it's just going to ooze out into your life. And so it's super important to be intentional about your healing, and being intentional about feeling your feelings, but also working on your feelings, and also working your feelings to your advantage as well. Do you know what I'm saying? Like for me, when I feel there's certain emotions that I feel in certain situations that I tell myself, like, I'm never going to feel this way. I never want to feel this way again. So I learned from like what triggered me to feel this, so I can see it coming a mile away in another situation, because I never want to feel this again. And of course, that's not how it works all the time, but there are certain situations and certain people that I know that will trigger me in certain things, and I stay away from it, and that's how I know that I'm at peace and God has healed me, because I was able to work my emotions for my advantage.
Right. And it's all right to talk to somebody. It's all right to get to talk to.
I have a therapist. I talk to her every week.
It's all right. It's all right to pray and to have a therapist that you can talk to, someone,
or even like your pastor, a right-minded friend.
But a pastor is not a therapist.
Yeah, but if it's I feel like if you have, I always say that you should talk to a licensed professional.
Right.
But sometimes licensed professionals do not understand the spiritual things that we go through. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of them are logic. Unless you go to someone who's, spiritually inclined and is able to help you in that way. But like for me, I love my therapist. She's great. But she doesn't understand when I talk to her about like, so I was talking to God, and she'll be like, okay. And it'd be like, girl, don't put me in a psych ward because you feel like I'm talking to myself. He's there.
Right.
He's there. You just don't see him.
Yeah.
But it is okay. I really do think that talking to someone, especially when you're grieving or you are experiencing sorrow, it is very important to talk to someone. And if you don't feel comfortable talking to a therapist, you don't feel comfortable talking to your pastor, there are so many other outlets that you can just like, there's hotlines that you can just talk to a random stranger and just vent. But I feel like we hold on to a lot of things, and we're unable to move forward. And it's just it would put in a Band-Aid over a gunshot wound,
Yeah.
So
this is good.
Yeah.
We hope that you were really
there's a prayer.
Oh yeah, we got to do the prayer. Let's do we can't forget about prayer. That's one of the most important things. So let us say our prayer together. Are you ready? Let us say it. Father,
In
In my times of sorrow, I trust in your presence and love. Comfort my broken heart and bring healing to my spirit. Help me to lean on you and to find peace in knowing that you are near. Amen.
Amen.
So what I was going to say is I pray that you were encouraged by this word today, trusting God in times of sorrow, trusting God in times of disappointment, trusting God in times of hurt. Whatever it is, we need God. Trust in him, have total reliance upon spiritual timing, his spiritual timing. Trust in the Lord. Pray. And it's all right to talk to somebody. I just want to get those things, settled in your mind. Don't walk around holding on to stuff because, they say stress affects the body.
They say it's a silent killer.
Yeah, it affects the body, so I pray that you've been encouraged. Please make sure you share this broadcast and any of the other broadcasts. Share them on your Facebook, Instagram, wherever you can share it. Share the word. Share the word. Eventually, I'm going to start a Facebook page for just this generational gap so that everything can be on one page. So go back and look at the different topics that we've discussed. They've all been really good, and they can help you and they can help someone else as you share them. So we pray that the peace and the blessings of God be richly upon each one of you, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. So be blessed.
Be blessed. Bye, guys.
Bye.